take some risks today. I'm taking a risk. This is our 4th episode right in a row. We're doing 5. I was away at Disney World these last couple of days, and so I didn't get a chance to be able to do the podcast, the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day. This is Inchstones. I was with my son, Maddox. It was unbelievable to get to spend time with him. There's a couple things that we learned when we went to Disney. Disney is the happiest place on earth, and it's the forefront of service and all these things. This is what we think about. Well, as we were going through, there was a lot of times where there was individuals inside of the experience that weren't the greatest. I had a woman kind of yell at my son a little bit about getting his feet on the floor and just people that were mad. Now, I wasn't mad at the people. They were young, but what I started to look at is that vision was not being transferred into other people. Imagine what Walt would have done. Imagine that situation. Walt, when he first started, and he would walk around and he'd pick up trash and he'd look at all the things and he'd be in the detail. Imagine that with your own business. Everyone told me when I first started my business that there would be no way that it would work unless I was there. Well, I didn't believe that. Now, it never would if I didn't communicate it with other people. And I didn't communicate it well to other people. But what my pops taught me very early on was that, 99.9% of challenges in any company comes down to communication. And how do we communicate? It's a sender, a receiver, and results. And when we send something out, we can't look at the receiver if we don't get the results. We have to look at ourselves, and it could be that we're saying the right thing in the wrong language, or we're saying it with the wrong tone. It's amazing because, what I've realized is the vibe really powers every single thing. Like the vibe that I felt, the way in which I felt when I left the situation in certain interactions there at Disney World was, man, this isn't on brand. Right? And it left me feeling like I wanted a little bit more. And then we had an experience right towards the end where this guy just had a smile on his face and he made sure everything was good for us. And he went over and above. And I looked at my son and I smiled and I said, "Did you see it?" He said, "Yeah, son." He said, "Yeah, Dad, he got it." And I said, "What was it? What's the secret?" And he said, "Well, the secret is to make eye contact and just simply smile. If you do those things, you can overcome so many other challenges." And when we're going through in any business, what I find is that if you have timing, technique, and entertainment, right? If you have timing, you respect somebody's time. You have technique, you know your craft better than anybody. And you have entertainment where you can connect with somebody, but that means that you're free to be able to do that. Making eye contact, smile, and connecting with them. Once you have those 3, timing, technique, entertainment, it is curtains, but it all starts with eye contact and a smile. And that's when you can bring the right vibe to any environment. And I used to always think that it was the energy that I brought into the room. But once I realized that it was just the way that people felt when I left, that was my vibe, then the paradigm shifted completely. It's incredible because, we're doing the corresponding proverb, corresponding day. We're trying some stuff out. And I just did an episode. If you didn't check it out, it's on Wisdom and the Vibe. It's in the playlist. And we take you through these little inchstones. What I mean by inchstones, little things, little consumable podcasts, 10, 15 minutes, sometimes 20. You could go on a walk, you could listen to it, and it'll lift you up and give you kind of a foundation for what you're doing today. Now, the greatest compliment, people ask me, like, what can I do for you, or how can I support you? The way that you can support me is exactly what you're doing right now, listening. So listening or watching. If you watch on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. If you're on Spotify, make sure you subscribe or follow, leave a comment, and then finally, just share it with a friend. That's all I ask. That's my big ask. Do that. We got the Vibe Room coming, which is July 23rd, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. Today's proverb is Proverb 11, and it is all about honest scales. Let's get this party started.
Nothing more on my mind. I got 2 shines, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never know
when I was a kid on Vandenberg Air Force Base, I had an experience, and it was a pivotal experience for me. I was with my buddy Henry, DJ Rodriguez, Greg Smith. We were all out playing, and there was a little dog, a little Chihuahua dog, and it was running around. It was one of our friends' dogs, and it came up, and, as little boys do when we're 12 years old, you have to go to the bathroom. You go to the bathroom in the woods. And one of the kids, starts peeing, and, the dog comes up, and he thinks it's funny, so he laughs, and he actually pees on the dog. And I regret to say, and when I was that age, I turned and I actually peed on the dog too. And the friend whose dog it was obviously got really mad, went home and told his parents, and then the parents called my dad, and I came home to a whooping. And I lied to my pop, and he said, "Did you pee on the dog?" I said, "No," and he just whooped me. And he whooped me anyway, and then I said I didn't, pee on the dog, and I lied. And in my head, what I was thinking the whole time was, well, Henry did it, DJ did it, Greg did it. I don't know if Greg did it, but, I was thinking in my mind, what my scale was, putting almost the kind of justice scale is like, well, they did it, so it makes it right. That kind of evens it out. And I don't know if you guys have ever had this happen, like, in business or in a relationship or whatever, like they did this, so it's okay for me to do this. And what I found was at that time, I had a dishonest scale. I had a scale that I was weighing things against that didn't tell the actual weight and gravity of that situation. And I was saying to myself, well, they did it, so, it can't be that bad. And then it even caused me to lie about it. And then years later, my dad came back to me. My pops came back to me. It was in like 97, 98, and he wrote me a letter, and he apologized for whooping me because, and here I had lied about it. He whooped me. Then he apologizes. And what's crazy is I never took the time to tell my pop, like, I was an idiot. I did it. He knows now. But it brought me to this place of like honest scales. Like, what kind of scale do we have in our life? What are we weighing it against? And this was in Proverbs 11, and what God gave to me on that day, on the 11th, which was yesterday. I looked at these honest scales, and how can we always have an honest scale? Well, it was crazy because, in verse 2 of Proverbs 11, it talks about this, and it says, she has prepared her meat and mixed her wine. Oh, that's Proverbs 9. So it says, when pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom. So with an honest scale, you'll have humility and wisdom. With a dishonest scale, you'll have pride. You see, in that dog situation, I had pride. I was like, well, they did it, so I did it. My pride gave way to ego, but it started with insecurity. Insecurity will bring pride, and pride will bring ego. On that side of it, dishonest scale. On this side of it, humility and wisdom. So what God was saying in verse 3 was the integrity, being the same in the dark as you are in the light. Now, I wasn't being that way as a kid. I was being an idiot in the dark, and I didn't think it was going to come into the light. When it came into the light, I was trying to tell my pop, like, no, I'm cool, Pop. Like I did, what I needed to do. No, I didn't. I wasn't acting the same way in the dark as in the light. And what God says is, first of all, your scale, if you want it to be honest, you'll have humility and you'll have wisdom. If it's a dishonest one, you're going to start with insecurity. It'll lead to pride, and that'll give way to ego. And then he goes on to say, like, if you have an honest scale, you'll walk in integrity, no matter if a person can see it or they can't see it. What's done in the dark will come out in the light. If you're the same in the dark as you are in the light, then you have integrity and you walk in that integrity. And see, this was the crux of the situation, right? Is from verse 4 through 26, it takes us through, and it actually compares and contrasts if a dishonest scale against an honest scale. An honest scale, you'll have dependence on, or a dishonest scale you'll have, and this is how you'll know, is that you'll have dependence on wealth, You'll have dependence on selfish desires, crooked paths, man, silly words, wickedness, your own counsel, cruelty, deceptive wages, pursuit of silliness, no discretion, hope in silliness, and hoarding. Think of the opposites of that. So our scale that we weigh it against, if we do that, it's amazing, because our scale that we weigh it against, we then can justify. This is when we think about honest scales or dishonest scales, it's just justification. So when we could justify anything, and I do this, oh, you worked hard, so you deserve this. I wanted to justify last night to eat the ice cream sandwich that has an Oreo on top and an Oreo on the bottom, but I know every single time I do and I eat it at 8 o'clock, I don't feel good in the morning. But I want to justify it, be like, you worked hard today, you walked a lot today, you did this, you did that. And how many times could we justify? Because we have a dishonest scale. And if we scale it against, it's not to be crazy, rigid, whatever it is, but imagine in verse 20 or 4 through 26, it just takes us down. If you have dependence on wealth, selfish desires, crooked paths, man, silly words, wickedness, your own counsel, cruelty, deceptive wages, pursuit of silliness, no discretion, hope in silliness, and hoarding, you're going to be challenged. But imagine the opposite of that. Imagine the fact of having generosity, seeking wisdom, discretion, diligence, all those things. And then he finishes up, and I love how God does this in chapter 11, verse 27. He says, whoever seeks good finds favor, but evil comes on the one who searches for it. Those who trust in their riches will fall, but the righteous will thrive like a green leaf. Whoever brings ruin on their family will inherit only the wind, and a fool will be the servant to the wise. The fruit of the righteous is tree of life, and the one who's wise saves lives. If the righteous receive their due on earth, how much more the ungodly and the sinner? So imagine this. If you seek good, you'll find favor. In verse 27, it talks about this. So the questions that God asked me was, where is your trust? Are you taking care of your family? What is your fruit right now, professionally, personally, spiritually, and financially? And then how's your faith? Because if my faith is strong, the fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and the one who is wise saves life. If the righteous receive their due on earth, how much more the ungodly and the sinner? How's my faith? Do I actually believe that? Do I walk in it? Well, not all the time. There's some times where I wonder, like, I'm doing the right thing isn't turning out, and I get impatient with it, but I have to realize that it's His will, His plan, His timing. The third one is the one that I have the biggest challenge with most of the time. And as we go through this, if our faith is strong, our peace will overflow. God gives us an honest scale to weigh our walk with Him. What does your scale read? So my challenge to every one of you is ask yourself, what are you weighing it against? What is that decision, that one little decision today? What is that one little decision? What are you weighing it against? And I ask you, just write down today. Write down, take one little page and write a letter. Write a letter to yourself. And tell yourself what you're weighing your decisions against. And write it out. And when you write it out and see it, a lot of times, like if I was to realize that if I had if I was to write it out and see it in front of my face, saying that if I have dependence on wealth and selfish desires, crooked paths, man, silly words, wickedness, my own counsel, cruelty, deceptive wages, pursuit of silliness, no discretion, hope in silliness, and hoarding, it would be so simple to be like, that is not a good scale. But most of the time we don't take the time to write it out, because when we take time and we write, we have to slow down and then read it. And when you read it, it will come to life and it'll start to read you. This has been Proverbs 11, the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day. It's Inchstones, the little tiny things that you could do. And what I would say today is I challenge you, write yourself a letter and explain the type of scale that you have in your life that you're weighing your decisions against. Check out the Vibe Room, July 23rd. The greatest compliment you could ever give me is to listen. First of all, what you're doing. Thank you so much. Comment, subscribe, and share it with a friend. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.